Okay, everybody, we're going to begin today. Welcome to the webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of different topics, some of which are very odd and interesting. But again, my name is Sean Briscom, and Tim, unfortunately, is not going to be with us again this week, but he will be returning next week to join us. I thought I'd do a couple of things today. I wanted to start out with a quick video. This video is about 3 minutes long. So actually, it's about 4 minutes long. So I'm going to start here. And the main premise of this video is I want you to get to start thinking about why do we save money? Why do we save our money long term anyway? What's the point? You know, I was thinking about it. I recently had a horrible event. My mother died on Sunday. So been going through a lot of emotional ups and downs, and I didn't think it would affect me that much, but it has. And what I keep coming back to is that she worked her whole life. My mom and dad busted their butts their whole entire life and saved and saved and saved, and now she's gone. And what was it all for? She died at 11:50 a.m. on Sunday morning. I was not there when she died. I visited her in May, and she was healthy and happy and doing great. We had an awesome visit, but we all inevitably will be gone. And so, if you're saving money today and trying to build wealth today, what's it for? Why are you doing it? What is the purpose behind building wealth? If you think about it this way, 100 years ago, who owned your wealth? It wasn't you, and it wasn't anyone in your family necessarily. And 100 years from today, who's going to own your wealth? It's not going to be you. You're going to be gone. So why are we doing this? What's it all for? Hopefully you start thinking along those lines as we go through these these webinars and these training and coaching programs. But for now, I'm going to play this video, and just I want you to soak it in and kind of think about your own personal economy and how this affects everything, not just while you're alive, but into eternity. Okay, so Okay. So hopefully, hit me up with the chat and just make sure. I didn't know if the audio was playing on that. Did everybody hear that okay? Just say yes or no on the chat box there if you can. Can you hear me okay now? Is the audio good? Okay. Looks like we're doing okay. So hopefully you got to hear the video and really understand the purpose of what we're trying to do. You know, the true purpose of all long-term savings is for income streams when you're ready to either retire um, or to, you know, walk away from your job or hang up your working shoes or whatever it is that you want to do, even if it's something that you want to become more focused on. Maybe it's a passion of yours. Maybe it's in my case, you know, what we do is we really focus on these foster children. My wife and I have been foster parents for 6 years now. We've had 6 beautiful girls come through the house. We've adopted 2 of them already. We're planning on continuing that and growing our family that way. But we also we realize that the money and the wealth that's been given to us has nothing to do with us, really. We're blessed with these resources so that we can give more back in a more meaningful way. And so our chosen passion is children. And so these kids, you know, they're near and dear to our heart, and that's where our focus is. And so all of our time and energy and money and emotion is spent on these children and getting them, these kids that come from really, really difficult places, and getting them back to an understanding of safety and security and love and commitment and family and unity and what that means. And so, you know, I encourage you to start thinking long term, start thinking about eternity as it pertains to your wealth building, because when all's said and done, you're going to take your final breath and you're going to leave behind something. And so we need to plan today for whatever it is down the road, whatever it is that we want to leave behind, our legacy, if you will. And so that's what I really wanted to focus on today. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'm going to bring up the key problem that we have with our traditional savings accounts, with our 401ks, our IRAs, and our mutual funds. All right. And it really has to do with these distribution curves and these distribution rates, like you saw in the video. You know, if you ask a typical financial planner today, they'll tell you that the average rate of return on the S&P 500 over the last 15, 20 years, however long, 30 years, whatever time frame they give you, is X% average rate of return. Okay. And so if you're averaging X%, you should be able to withdraw or spend down your retirement account at a certain rate of return. Well, new economic theory is showing us mathematically that traditional financial planning is failing. It's failing us miserably because of things like volatility in the marketplace. You know, and you know, if you have a nest egg that's in the marketplace and is subject to risk or subject to volatility, then how does that affect you on those withdrawal rates when you want to spend down those assets? How much can you really afford to spend down without running out of money? You know, if you have $1 million nest egg, for example, let's say that you have $1 million nest egg. You've accumulated $1 million worth of resources, and you want to retire. Today's your retire date, okay? And you call your significant other and you say, "Hey, honey, you know, I'm really excited. I get to retire this week, but unfortunately, we're going to have to take a pay cut." Okay, because on $1 million nest egg, if you were to withdraw that money at 8%, which it shows here on this chart, in 15 years, you have a 40% chance of running out of money. You only have a 60% chance of still having money left over in that nest egg 15 years into retirement. If you're withdrawing 8% a year on $1 million, how much money is that? That's $80,000 a year. What about inflation? What about taxes going up? How will you survive on $80,000 a year when the cost of gasoline goes to $6 a gallon or $8 a gallon, and the cost of a gallon of milk goes to $10 a gallon, which is what we expect to happen as we continue to devalue currencies around the world. And so the purchasing power of your dollars goes down due to inflation. It takes more dollars, more paper dollars to fill up your gas tank today than it did back in 1950, even though it's the same size tank. The gas hasn't changed at all. It just takes more paper dollars to fill up your tank today. So realistic withdrawal rates are higher than 8% if you want to live comfortably in retirement. It's really closer to 10 to 13%. On $1 million nest egg, 10 to 13% is $100,000 to $130,000 a year. Okay. Well, look at 8% on this curve. If you get to year 20 in retirement, 20 years into retirement, you only have a 25% chance of not running out of money in 20 years into retirement. This is just 20 years into retirement, and you've only got a 25% chance of not running out of money if you're spending it down at $80,000 a year. This is the key problem that we have today. And so what economists have determined is that a more realistic withdrawal rate or spend down rate is closer to 3%. It's actually sub 3%. It's 2.8%. In order for you to have a higher likelihood of not running out of money in retirement. Okay. What is the alternative? Well, the alternative is that you're going to have to work for the rest of your life. How many of us on this call want to do that? You know, I would guess that none of you want to do that. You know, it's the Walmart greeter mentality. When you retire and you realize I don't have enough money to live on comfortably, you got to go back to work. Or what's the first place that most retirees apply for? It's a greeter at Walmart. And so think about this in terms of percentages now. On $1 million nest egg, if you're withdrawing it or spending that $1 million down at 3% a year, that's only 30 grand a year. With inflation and taxes doing what they're doing, how's that going to work? How on earth is that going to work? And so that's the real problem, is the spend down rates at retirement. Does that make sense to everybody? And so that's what we're really trying to solve here. That's the key concept that we're trying to solve. You know, we talk a lot about what kind of solutions there are to this problem. And what we've discovered is that if we can create a personal economy that has less risk and less volatility and more guarantees, then we can actually guarantee more income at retirement. And based on our mathematical equations and the software that we use, we can prove to you that we can actually get you anywhere from 40 to 55% more money in retirement than what you currently are planning on getting on your current plan with your current financial planner. Does that make sense? I know it's a little bit confusing, but and so how do we do that? Well, the way that we do that is by incorporating your assets, that your savings, you know, your investments and your assets that you own, your savings that you own, and we mix into that portfolio life insurance products, because life insurance products behave differently than most traditional assets. Most traditional assets have volatility involved in them. You know, the value of the property goes up, the value of the property goes down. the oil well starts producing a ton of income for the family, and then all of a sudden one day it shuts down. You know, you buy a rental property and you lease that property out, and then the renter loses their job and they can't pay the rent and your rent stops. What do you do then? Then it's not a productive asset anymore. And so what we do is we show you how to build up your nest egg faster by managing it differently, by you controlling it 100% and putting it into the right investments that can get you the best returns in the safest environment and that are managed by top shelf operators. And then when you're ready to retire, because we've set up this foundation using life insurance products, you have the ability to annuitize those assets. Annuitize them means just setting those assets up for income to start spending down those assets at a much, much higher rate than what the economists are showing us. So instead of spending it down at 8% per year on $1 million nest egg or $80,000 a year, we have the ability and the software backing it to show you how you can actually spend it down at 10 to 13% a year, or $100,000 to $130,000 a year on that same pool of assets, that same nest egg that you've built up. And so we do that through a whole process. And the first step in the process is really determining where you are today. And so when you registered for this webinar, you should have received a Fact Finder worksheet, which is just simply a 2-page worksheet that shows us where you have your assets positioned currently. Because, you know, like the old saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So the first thing we have to determine is, where are you today and where do you want to be? And then what is the best roadmap or the best pathway to show you how to get there? And so that's what we do. That's what we do with our coaching, with our one-on-one coaching. And that's why we created the Strategic Wealth Network platform, is to really show people how this works on your own local personal economic level. And again, it's an economics-based approach to the problem, not a rate of return approach or a diversification approach like traditional financial planners use. We use an economics-based approach to solve the biggest problem that most people are seeing right now, which is, how do I not run out of money before I run out of breath, essentially? Okay, and so that's what we do. The way that we do that is by taking your information that you give to us, and we just simply plug it into our formula or our software here. Let me give you an example of some fictitious clients that we have. We've got Don and Donna Draper here. Okay. Now I realize that some of these case studies may pertain to your situation. Some of them may not, but I just wanted to show you an example here. So we've got Don and Donna Draper. Don is 35 and Donna is 35. So they've got about a 30-year time horizon to start saving money. Make sense? They're currently in the 28% tax bracket, which who knows what taxes are going to look like when they retire. We believe that they're going to go up, but who knows? Just based on the debt load that we have right now as a nation. And we're showing a net 6% return on their assets. Now that's net of all fees, meaning management fees and trading fees, not net of all taxes. So it's still taxable money to them, but we believe that most financial planners target 8% return. So we back off on that because there's typically a 2% management fee that goes along with that. So we're netting 6% return. And then when we start spending their money down in retirement, the number that we're using is 3.5%. Okay. So again, based on those curves that we showed you, a realistic rate of withdrawal is 3%, anywhere from 3 to 4%. Most financial planners target 4% spend down rate or withdrawal rate. So we're going to hit it right in the middle and show you 3.5%. Okay. So Don and Donna are saving in their 401k. They've got $60,000 in their 401k right now. Okay. And if that money was to grow at an average rate of 6%, it will have grown by the time they reach age 65, when they plan on retiring here, it'll have grown to $344,000. Okay. Now, if they were to spend it down at 3.5%, which is a safer withdrawal rate or spend down rate, that would only generate about $12,000 a year. Okay. Now they're also saving some other money on the side. They're contributing into some other deals that are non-qualified deals. These are stocks and bonds, and they have an E-Trade account. So they put in about $5,090 a year into an E-Trade account each and every year. And so if that were to grow at an average rate of 6%, that would add an additional $426,000 into that account. Okay. Which would give them about an extra $14,000 or $15,000 in income if they were to spend it down at 3.5%. You follow me so far? Look down here. This is their net spendable income based on their current plan. Currently what they're doing. If they stay on the same path, then they will be able to safely spend down almost $27,000 a year. So you tell me, how is this couple going to live on $27,000 a year when inflation and taxes are doing what we believe they're going to be doing in the future? Okay. So what do? They decide, hey, you know what? Not only are we going to continue on the same path, we're going to add to it. We're going to add an additional $6,000 a year into our 401k. And we're going to get the employer matching, which is 50%, which is $3,000 a year in employer matching. You follow me? So they're essentially adding an extra $9,000 a year to this already existing 401k. And again, if it were to grow at 6% a year, or 6%, rate of return, then they will have over $1 million in their nest egg saved up at retirement. How are you feeling now? They're probably feeling pretty good about that $1 million nest egg. And then they also decided to open up an IRA or a non-qualified account, that stock portfolio, and contribute more money into that besides the $5,000 that is already in there already. They're going to bump it up to $6,000 a year. If that were to grow at 6%, that would add an additional $929,000. So now they've got almost $2 million in savings at retirement. How are you feeling now? Pretty good, right? Well, according to the curves, we can only spend down that money at a rate of 3.5% in retirement, so we don't run out of money quickly. And so that leaves them with only about $70,000 a year, $71,000 a year in income at retirement. Now, I know what you're thinking. By the time they retire, they're not going to have any debt. The house is going to be paid for. The kids are going to be out of the house. They're not going to, they're going to own their cars. They're going to hopefully have paid off all their credit card debt. But in the world that we live in today, how realistic do you think those goals are? Unless they're extremely disciplined, I don't know if that's going to happen. That could happen, but it may not happen. You never know. So again, it is $43,995 above and beyond what they currently have by adding more to it. But still, we're not quite there. These people, this couple is used to making about $100,000 combined income while they're working. And so getting them to $70,000 at retirement is not even getting them back to where they are today and what they're accustomed to earning today. You see that? So what do? Well, what we do at our firm is we say, what would it look like if we took a portion of the money that they're saving and just simply redirected it into a life insurance account? Okay. this life insurance account is a completely different asset that is oceans apart from the way that they're currently investing in the market, right? I mean, whoever thought about investing in life insurance or using life insurance as an asset? It just, nobody talks about it that way. You know, we're not taught this stuff in school for a reason. And you'll find out the reason very shortly here. But anyway, what I'm saying here is, what would it look like if we took out that $5,090 and we started to, you know, divert or redirect some of that money into life insurance and start saving it in the cash value of the life insurance contract? Okay. Now you'll notice down here at the bottom, you know, the pre-tax equivalent of this change, this redistribution, this reallocation, if you will, is about $7,700 more than what they're currently saving. So we're going to have to find $7,700 pre-tax or $5,500 after tax. Make sense? Where can we find that extra money? Well, they're currently making $100,000 a year and they're only saving about $12,000 a year. Does that make sense? Well, what if we just added another $5,500 to their savings and redirected it and put it into life insurance? In other words, captured more of their income that is flowing through their personal economy. You follow me so far? Well, if we were to do that, the beginning death benefit on their policy that they would get is $526,000. So day one, they would be covered for $500,000. If anything happened to the insured person here, either Don or Donna, if they got hit by the Budweiser truck, they would get a tax-free check, lump sum check delivered to them for $526,000 day one. But you can see that over time, that death benefit grows, and it grows to $690,000 roughly by age 65. But down here, this is where the cash value buildup occurs. By saving $5,500 a year, they've accumulated $313,000 extra dollars in life insurance. Now, it had to come from somewhere, didn't it? Where did we take it from? Well, we took it out of their non-qualified stock portfolio that has volatility and risk associated with it, and we put it into a life insurance contract that is guaranteed never to go down. You're guaranteed never to lose money, and you're guaranteed dividends added to this cash value. And that's why we're able to keep this cash value. All right. It's guaranteed. Whereas this $502,000 is not guaranteed. You follow me so far? All right. So what is the economic impact of that decision of saving in a life insurance policy rather than in a traditional 401k or IRA? Well, one option is what we call the covered asset option. And that's basically where we're able to take, you know, most of their savings, their 401k savings that had grown to $1 million, and we're able to annuitize that. In the annuity option, they're able to spend that money down at a much higher rate of return. Now, annuities typically you're able to spend them down. Historically, those annuities, the spend down rate is anywhere from 7 to 13%. I don't know if you can see that on this chart here, but anywhere from 7 to 13% is really what you're able to spend that money down at. We sometimes use 10% as the spend down rate. And if they were able to spend down most of their 401k and annuitize it and spend it down at 10%, which is right in the middle, that would generate an additional $95,000 in income for them. All right. Now, their non-qualified money, they'd still have to spend it down at a lower rate. They could throw it all into an annuity here if they wanted to, and just add it to the total if they wanted to. But they don't have enough death benefit here to cover all of those assets. In other words, what we're saying here is that they can spend down $958,000 of that $1 million nest egg, that $1 million 401k, knowing that it's all going to be replaced by death benefit when they're gone. You follow me? That's why they're able to spend it down at a higher rate of return or a higher withdrawal rate. If they want to spend it down at 10%, they know that they'll be able to generate more income while they're alive, and that 100% of the money that they annuitize will be replaced by death benefit for their family. So they're able to enjoy their income at retirement and not disinherit their family. Does that make sense? Now, what this really tells me here is that they don't have enough life insurance. They're missing about $140,000 in additional life insurance. So what we should probably do is have a conversation with them about how much money do they want to spend at retirement in order and annuitize it, knowing that they'll have enough death benefit to replace every penny that they spend down during retirement. Make sense? Now, just by looking at this, if they were to spend it down at 10% a year, it would give them $95,000 a year from their 401k instead of the lesser amount. If they took the remaining balance of their 401k and spent it down at a slower rate, they could get $5,000 a year in income from there. And then their non-qualified assets, their stock portfolio or their E-Trade account, they would have to spend it down at a slower rate just because of volatility. That would generate about $17,500 a year. But look at the total income that they've now been able to accomplish economically. And all we've done is diverted their IRA money or their stock portfolio money into life insurance. That's all we've done. And by doing that, we are covering all of their assets that they're accumulating, their nest egg, so they can spend it down faster, knowing that it'll be replaced, it'll be covered for their family. Make sense? All right. The next option that we have is what we call the volatility buffer. All right. Now this goes back to one of the other slides that we showed. Let me show you on this presentation real quick again. Let me get to it. The volatility buffer is really, really interesting to me because, again, we focus on constant returns versus fluctuating returns. If you go to a traditional financial planner, what they'll say is that, during the best 30 years, this is the best 30 years of the S&P 500. If you look down here in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that this is the historical data sources, the S&P 500, the total return index from 1970 to 1999. These were the best 30 years of the S&P 500. So the first question I have for you is, who is retiring now during 1970 to 1999? None of us are. So do these numbers pertain to us? No, they don't. But this is what your financial planner will show you. They'll say that, hey, you know what? The S&P 500 has averaged close to 15% return, right? 14.84% return. And so, hold on, let me check real quick. Can you guys see this? Not seeing the chart, seeing a picture of you. Got it. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen now. You should be able to see it. Everybody good now? Just send me a message in the chat box. Okay, cool. Got good. All right, so here's the chart I was showing you. Let me pull it back up again so you can see it. So we've got the best 30 years of the S&P 500 down here in the bottom right from 1970 to 1999. And during those 30 years, the average return was 14.84%, almost 15% return, okay? So if you had $1 million nest egg in 1970, you could safely spend it down at 10% a year or $100,000 a year, and you would never run out of money. You see that? In fact, because the S&P is staying ahead of your withdrawal rate, it's averaging 15% and you're pulling it out at 10%, you can see at the bottom that your account balance actually grows, which is pretty nice. This is what every financial planner on earth will show you, that if the market is averaged 8%, you should be able to safely withdraw your money at 6% and never run out of money. Well, what happens when you throw in volatility? Okay, now this chart that you're looking at here is the same time frame. It's from 1970 to 1999, same average rate of return, 14.84%. But look at the actual rates of return during that same time frame. In 1973, it went down 14%. Then it went down 26.5%. Then it was up 37%, then up 23%, then down 7%. So how did these fluctuating rates of return factor into your retirement plan? What happens? Well, if we look at the same exact 30-year time frame and the same $1 million nest egg and the same spend down rate of $100,000 a year, because of the fluctuating rates of return and pulling the money out at $100,000 a year every year, you can see that you run out of money at year 15. Now, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel? Just because of volatility, you run out of money much faster. And so what is the solution to that? Well, the solution to that is the volatility buffer. Because you have cash value built up in your life insurance account, what you're able to do is you're able to spend your nest egg down, you know, your pre-qualified or pre-tax qualified assets, your 401k, your IRA, your mutual fund, that's your retirement account, you're able to spend it down at a higher rate, giving yourself more income, knowing that you can always dip into this cash value if you have some volatility or fluctuations. What if we see a market crash again? What happens if the market goes down and you're spending down this money at 8% a year? Well, the option that you have is you can just simply dip into the cash into your life insurance account, and you don't have to spend down that money. You can wait for the market to recover. Okay, now the non-qualified assets that are in your E-Trade account, you're going to have to spend those down at a lower rate just because of that volatility, just because of the volatility. But still, we're back up closer to where you want to be at retirement as far as income strategies. Now we're at $105,000 just because we've added this additional cash value buildup in your life insurance account that you can always go back to and dip into should there be any volatility, okay? And so what we typically like to see is about 5 years worth of buffer. 5 years of buffer will give us enough money, enough income to live on with our qualified assets, with our 401ks, IRAs, and mutual funds, or whatever, however we're investing our money. And then if the market were to crash or go down, it would give us 5 years to dip into our life insurance cash and not dip into our 401k or our other assets. We wouldn't have to liquidate that real estate property. We wouldn't have to exit out of that investment deal that we're in right now because we have cash value in our life insurance. Make sense? And so what we're showing here is $78,000 above and beyond what their current plan was with their current financial advisor. And so when we look at the summary, the net effect, the economic effect of just making these decisions, You can see clearly here that at the beginning of this conversation, Don and Donna, if they had just left everything alone and not added another dime to their account, they would only have about $27,000 a year to spend down. But because they're adding more money to their 401k and IRA with future contributions, they're able to get a little bit more money. They're able to get $70,000, $71,000 a year. But they're still not back to their $100,000 a year of income that they're accustomed to. But by doing the covered asset option or just incorporating life insurance into the mix, it gives them options. It changes the game completely. All right. And look at this, $95,000 of this 118 is guaranteed for life. Why is it guaranteed for life? Because it's life insurance. Life insurance comes with it massive guarantees that the other accounts, 401ks, IRAs, and mutual funds don't have. You know, how much of this $70,000 is guaranteed in their traditional financial plan? None of it. How much is guaranteed in our plan? Well, most of it. $95,000 of that money is guaranteed for life. Think about that. That means that every year I'm going to knock on your door. You're going to open the door and I'm going to have one of those big cardboard checks for $95,833. And I'm going to say, here you go. Here's your income for the year. And I'll see you again next year. And I'm going to show up at your house every single year with that guaranteed check. Okay. And then the green chart is just simply the volatility buffer that we were talking about, where you can spend down your assets at a faster pace, getting back to that $100,000 a year of income that you're used to, that you're accustomed to, and still have enough money in cash value in life insurance to give you a little volatility buffer if the market were to crash or go down. You'd have about 5 years for it to recover before you needed to dip into those funds again. Okay. And so those are the solutions that we have available for our clients, and they're all found on the Strategic Wealth Network. All right. And so our motto here is living a richer life. And what that means to us is it's really a principle of building wealth. It's principles or rules or laws of nature. Okay. Principles are like gravity. You can argue against gravity, but if you fall off a building, you're still going to hit the ground, right? There's no way around it. Well, there are certain principles or rules of money and finance, and they're economic principles. The world that we live in today is all based on theory. It's based on what we call Keynesian economic theory. All right. What we deal in is pure economic reality. And so that's the biggest difference between our coaching and what a traditional financial planner does. And more importantly, what we like to do is we like to show people how to give first, save, and then live a great life. So our subheadline here is give, save, and live. All right. And it really is just, a matter of learning these principles of finance and economics, these basic economic principles. Okay. On this site, you'll see that it's broken down into three different sections of economics that you can build a rock solid personal economy around. The first step is your financial security, and that is your foundation, which is your life insurance account, using your life insurance account as a savings mechanism, as a safeguard, as a protection mechanism, and as a way to insulate yourself from the markets and from the government and the volatility and the risk that's associated with those entities. The second section is, how do you generate massive rates of return? How do you generate real returns in today's economy? Because if you think about it, if you buy Apple stock and it goes from $500 to $575 a share, is that real returns, or is that just Fed-induced money being pumped into the stock market
that's inflating the value of that stock artificially. What we believe as real returns today is income or dividends. Real returns are income or cash flow or dividends. And so in step 2, in generating real returns, we show you how to get into those opportunities that generate cash flow and real income, real returns. And then step 3 is just simply reducing your wealth transfers. How do you keep more of what you're building? How do you make sure that you don't transfer the wealth that you're building today to Uncle Sam, or that wealth doesn't get transferred through things like inflation, taxes, expenses, living expenses, or even if you have an emergency situation like a health emergency where you have to write a check for $100,000 because the insurance didn't cover it for some strange reason. Okay, how do you avoid those wealth transfers? And that's where we show you how to do that in this 3rd section here. And then we also have some bonus material, different definitions, like what is arbitrage? These are financial principles or rules of finance and economics that everybody needs to understand, but yet we're not taught this stuff in school. Okay, so I encourage you to become a member of this platform so that we can do some real live one-on-one coaching and focus on your own personal economy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really believe that right now people are sick and tired of hearing about the global economy and what's happening in Greece and around the world. And they're even getting tired of the national economy, and they really just want to focus more on their own personal economy. And so that's where we start. We start with you and your own personal economy. Okay. So I highly encourage you to join. You can join for free for now for 30 days. You get a free 30-day trial where we can meet face-to-face. We can meet over the phone. We can drill down on your personal economy and get you going and get a roadmap built. If you want ongoing coaching, that's where the subscription membership comes into play. Okay. And we do have discounts for those of you who want to sign up who are on this webinar. The sign up code is, when you go to sign up and become a member, of the Strategic Wealth Network, then use this simple code. It's SWN Coaching. SWN Coaching. Okay. So when you go to sign up and become a member, and you go to choose a package, you'll see these different membership levels. The gold membership level gives you full access to one-on-one coaching, private sessions, and we can really help you drill down on your own personal economy. But if you use that code when you sign up, just use the code SWN Coaching, and that you'll get a 50% discount off that gold membership. That package is the pro membership, and that's for the annual subscription only. So if you subscribe to the annual subscription, instead of it costing you almost $1,000, it'll cost you roughly $500. Okay, just by using that promo code. If you have trouble with that, just reach out to us. You can email us at advocate@strategicwealth.net, strategic-wealth.net, or you can call me personally or message me personally. My email is sean@strategic-wealth.net, and my assistant's email is linda@strategic-wealth.net. We have a whole team of coaches available to you. We have different groups that you can join and be a part of. We have business coaching. We have business coaching if you're into business coaching. We have personal private coaching in my private coaching group. My associate Tim has his own private coaching group. We have different course discussions that you can get involved in. And then we also have these private opportunities that you can become a part of that have way above average rates of return, and where you can generate real income, real dividends, and real cash flow. Okay. So again, I highly encourage you to join. If you have any questions, please reach out to us and let us know what your thoughts are and how we can help you. You know, we created this platform for one simple reason, and that is literally to show you how to live a richer life. You know, we believe strongly that there's a huge difference between getting rich and being rich. Getting rich is learning how to make a dollar. Being rich is learning how to give it away. We want to show people how to be rich, not just how to get rich. Okay. So thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate your time today. We're going to be doing a lot more of these training sessions, and we're going to be drilling down on a lot more of these case studies as we go on. So next week, we're going to be talking about one topic, and that is just wealth transfers. Where do we transfer our wealth, and how do we plug those holes? So if you haven't already, join the next coaching session. It's going to be next Thursday. I'm going to send out another email so that you can send it on to your friends and have them join us as well. All right. I've had a blast. I hope that you have too. And we will see you next week. All right. Have a great day, everybody.